And now I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Linda McDaid. We like Lindas around here. She comes to us, she is the operations manager at Showers of Blessing. She comes to us through HEAL, Health, Empowerment, and Love. And we have invited her here to speak and share her amazing story about how she gives back to the Santa Barbara community.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Imagine, if you will, not having the comforts of your home. Now imagine not knowing where your next meal is coming from, not knowing where you will sleep at night. Imagine a cold night, it's raining, your blankets are wet, now the sun's coming up, you're waiting for the coffee shop to open, and hopefully someone will leave a half a cup of hot coffee there for you. Now imagine you're inside and trying to dry off and get warm, and you're approached by the management there and asked to leave because of your offensive odor. We've come here today, and as you see, we have the Showers of Blessing trailer out there. And what we do for people is we give them a chance to get cleaned up. We listen to them, their stories. We try to help them find shelter. And we offer them friendship. The idea of this ministry began a few years ago when Reverend Doug Miller and his wife Sandy, who've been outreaching to the houseless community for a long time, decided to take a survey one day and asked them what their main concerns were living on the streets. And the number one answer was a safe shelter, a safe place to sleep. Number two was they had nowhere to take a shower and get cleaned up. Well, they began working on this idea of bringing the shower to them. And a few years later, through the Christ Lutheran Church, a trailer was purchased, and a truck was donated from a med student at the university. And so we began our Showers of Blessing. I want to let you know too, and tell you about my journey, how I got here to be operations manager for this ministry. I was born into an alcoholic family. I was the youngest of four. My parents did not get along, they were abusive, and on the other hand, my dad worked really hard. My mom kept us clean, did great things with us. My dad was a hard worker, worked 7 days a week to support his family, but the alcoholism and the fighting and the abuse, physical, mental, and emotional, was a lot to bear at my age. And by the time I was 13, I was a full-blown alcoholic, and I was living on the streets. I left home because I could not take it anymore. So my journey began there of a 38-year-long life of addiction and alcoholism and abusive relationships. Now during that time, I was very determined to show them that I was going to make it and nothing was going to stop me. I went out and I would do things in my teens, like get a fake ID, and I'd go get a job, and but I was still with that addiction, and I would lose jobs, get jobs, live under the pier, live in open cars. Sometimes I'd live on someone's couch, but it was just it just kept going like this. I finally got myself into school. I got myself a degree in the computer programming and so forth. Started working in the medical field, and for 20 years I'd have jobs in the medical field and tried to balance my addiction and my children. Now I had 2 children, 2 broken marriages, and so I was doing this balancing act. Long story short, I lost my children in custody battles and through child protection services because of my addiction. And that just made me want to self-medicate even more. So it just caused it to be worth. Well, throughout my life, I had been homeless 3 times. Always trying to do it myself, get back on my feet, and make this work. And it wasn't until I was homeless the last time, I was 48 years old, and by the time I was 50 and walking around trying to find a place to sleep at night, it occurred to me that I may never get better. It started getting to me. I started getting chinks in the armor, so to speak. There came a night when I was in a horrible place. I'd been on the street for a while. And I remember looking at the pictures of my grandchildren, and I realized at that point I could never see them again because I couldn't look them in the eye and honestly tell them that life was good. Because I could not figure out why I had struggled so long and to fight the demons off and to get my life together, and it just didn't work. And it was at that time I began to cry, and I cried out to God out loud, and I said, God, if you exist, get me out of here, or please just let me die. I can't do this anymore. I was done. I was in a vortex of darkness. I was living on the street, and that is survival of the fittest out there. And it's not kind. It's not a kind place. Well, not too long after that, a few weeks after that, I ended back up here, back in Santa Barbara. I have family up here. And I got into the Bethel House, which is a rehabilitation, a year-long rehabilitation program. And that's where they taught me about God. And they shared the Bible with me. I began to build my relationship with God, and I realized that I could be forgiven for all the things and the pain I caused my children and my family, and that all those ugly things I did out there that I never thought I would do were forgiven. So as I was building my relationship and growing stronger with God, at the end of my tenure there at the rehab, I was supposed to get a job now and get out on my own. Well, my whole life is different now, completely different. And I prayed before I left there, God, please give me a job where I can give back, where I can be around people that care, that are helping other people like where I was. And 2 days after I left that program, I was hired by Showers of Blessing to be the operations manager. And a year and a half later, here we are. What we do at the Showers, and I have to remind you too, when you're out there, there was one thing that really, really helped me was I was dirty, I was hiding from society, I didn't want to face people. And when somebody normal would smile at me, just a smile, that did so much for me. I felt part of the human race again, But at Showers of Blessings, we go way beyond a shower and a smile. Like I said, we offer a relationship. We give them hope. We actually have helped people get into homes. Let me give you a few examples of the testimonies. There was one man who came out of the shower. He hadn't had a hot shower in 10 years. 10 years. Well, he was crying when he got out of the shower. And he says, I feel human again. There's another man who had to quit his job in the construction industry because he got so dirty on the job that he couldn't start going back to work the next day. He could never shower. And so he had to quit. Well, when we came, he started to take showers there, got his job back, and is now working again. When people step out of that shower that have not showered in a long time, it's amazing what it does for people. The things that we take for granted. I mean, it's Q-tips to clean your ears, a shave. We cut their hair for them if they need it. We give them clean clothes and underwear and socks to put on. And you know what ends up happening? They stick around and they talk to us. And they tell us about their families and their story. And it's amazing. It's like building a community. These are now my friends. And when one of them's missing for a week or two, we go looking for them. So we're here today to give you the opportunity to be a part of this wonderful ministry and to reach out to the downtrodden. And it is a wonderful thing to be a part of. It brings me so much joy. So we have different things that you can do in this ministry. Of course, we run on donations, so money is always good. There's other things though too. We have a few spots for volunteer positions to be actually on site. For instance, if you just want to come down and be a social host, to talk to them, let them tell you your story, things of that nature. We also have a place we have supplies like the Q-tips and razors and different things like that, lotion, that you can donate, that you can go buy and donate to us. There's many, many ways you can be involved in this, and it is a great opportunity for you to reach out to your community. We have last year we supplied 2,000 showers to the homeless in the Goleta IV area. We just started a new location in downtown Santa Barbara just a few weeks ago, and the stories there, one man came out of that shower and started singing I Feel Good, that song, and started dancing. Okay? I mean, it is amazing what just a simple shower that we take for granted does for people. We think we're going to probably be almost doubling our showers this year. We're looking for a larger trailer in the future. Just last week, we had our faithful little truck that was donated to us break down on the freeway. And so it is gone. It did its job and did it well, but we no longer have the truck. This is why we have a U-Haul truck hauling everything around right now. So there are ways, if anyone has a network, someone who knows someone who has a truck that they're selling or anything like that, or any ideas we'll take. So there's a lot of ways you can help us and in turn help yourselves by giving and being generous. And I know by you just being here that you are the people who care. And I see with all the things that you do too for the homeless, it's amazing, and I thank you for that too. So we will be outside. We have a little trailer set up. We have a table. If you want to come visit us and find out more about the ministry or have any questions, please feel free to come visit us, and we will be there to answer anything we can. I want to thank you. And I'll add one last thing. When I started working at the shower trailer, it was a new life for me, and I was a little worried about how to deal with things and was I going to be up to the task. And it took a while, and the committee was very, very loving to me and very patient, and I have learned so much from working with them. It has helped me tremendously. I now have a relationship with my grandchildren and my son and my daughter that I didn't have for years. So I'm grateful for being here. I'm blessed to be a part of this, and thank you so much for listening to my story and letting me be here today. Thank you.
Linda, thank you so much for your honesty and candidness and your witness in your ministry. And we should come out and take a look at the trailer after church, right? See a demonstration, see what you all do. Good.
My boss is named Linda. Yes, I I always say I'm on the wrong side. You know, I want to figure out how to get into that I'm on the right side. And, you know, push it out.